not sure how much it had to do with the actor, because the actor wasn't great.
Yeah, he's not great, and then the character also sucks. And then by like his final scene, if you're still on board with him, then well done. Because I was so fucking
Yeah, I was just like, just
done with him.
Just let him go.
It's like, yeah, he wants to go. Just let him go. You'll be better off without him.
But other than that, it's an enjoyable movie.
I enjoyed it. I think it would have been great, like GREAT capital great, if it had been a TV show.
Oh, I disagree. I think that thing had to be a movie. But we'll get into that next episode.
There is one really sad dog moment, but then it kind of pays off with another dog person having a good line.
That's true. Yeah. All right. Do I have any? I didn't take any notes on this. Do I need notes on this? No. It's Endgame. Everybody's.
Well, you need to know that. What
have
happened
you
here?
or have you not seen Endgame?
Have you seen all 20 some
hours of it? Yes.
Yeah.
Did you see Endgame the first time they released it in 2019? Or did
Well,
you see Endgame the second? Or the third time they released it in 2019?
Well, don't forget about the fourth time coming up in the end of the year.
Because they're like, oh my god, we need to beat Avatar.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So I think that's everything that I need to do, right? Yes? Everyone's ready?
Yes.
As ready as they can be?
Yeah.
All right, well, that's the end.
Oh.
There's our intro. Just saying that's the end. So welcome to After the Hype with me, your host, always, Brian Dressel. With me, as always, is CHEWIE Darso.
Hi.
Jonathan Hardesty.
Yep.
And coming in this week, we have Samantha Garrison.
Why, hello.
Woo!
Couldn't do an Avengers movie without you.
I know.
Been here since the beginning with the Avengers movies.
I know. I'm free at last after this. You'll never see me again.
Oh, man.
I'm kidding.
I would say go listen to our first Avengers episode.
It's
but
so
don't.
bad.
It's awful.
They might do Dark Avengers later in this MCU.
I think they're going to.
I'm retiring.
Yeah, no.
I'm sailing into the West.
I don't blame you. So before we jump into Endgame today, although I know you're all just waiting to hear it, one quick housekeeping thing. I can't guarantee this, but this will be my goal, and nobody even around the table has heard me say this yet. I think I'm done covering Marvel movies after Endgame. I love Marvel movies. I will continue to see them, but the problem with Marvel movies with a show like ours is that we want to talk about them after the hype, and these movies are all hype. And until we have a lot more distance to see how well these things age, it's really kind of tough to say. So I will absolutely watch Far From Home again, and I will probably enjoy it again. But will I cover it on the show? Probably not.
It dies with me.
Yeah, it dies with Sam. We'll still talk DC because I'm way biased on DC.
Suck it, Marvel.
Suck it, Marvel. But if you do want to listen to Marvel shows or listen to things about Marvel, I highly recommend jumping over to the front row, the way they cover these things, as much as you possibly could want. So check out the front row. They do great coverage on these things if you want coverage on Marvel movies. After the Hype, probably not your best place to get it, but we're going to do the best we can with Endgame because there is still a lot that I don't think people have said because it's so goddamn long. There's a lot to say. And that's all the housekeeping I have. Do you want to do a quick where have you been doing?
Sure.
I have been reading Justice League. And
No, Brian reading a DC comic.
I know. I wasn't going to bring it up, but I figured this is the best episode to bring it up on. The most recent issue was all about Starro. And if you don't know who Starro is, he is an alien starfish who controls people by shooting out little tiny starfish that latch onto your face, and then he has control of your mind. He's awesome. Earlier this year, he got ripped in half by a big celestial being, and it was really sad, but part of him survived in a jar that the Justice League started calling Jarro because he's on their side, and he's adorable, and he's so much fun, and in the most recent issue, he got to put on a little Robin suit, and he got to fight the Legion of Doom as a Robin starfish, and it was the greatest thing I've ever seen, which is tough to say when we're covering a movie like Endgame that is just like the perfect nerd comic stuff ever. But I can't help that I saw something better in comics this week, and that was a starfish pretending to be Robin. And
yeah,
it's the greatest thing in the world.
It's hard to even like imagine. Like,
oh
you
my
need to
god!
Look at this comic.
And the best thing about it is at the end of the book, he apologizes to Batman, and Batman like is sad that he almost died, and he hugs the starfish, and it's this most beautifully drawn frame of
God.
Batman hugging a baby starfish. It's amazing. If you guys aren't reading Justice League right now, you are not reading the most fun comic series I've read, and I don't even know how long.
It's playing out like Teen Titans meets Futurama meets Pokemon in my
Sure,
head,
yeah.
and I'm here for it.
That's not that far
Why
off.
can't Marvel have that?
Yeah, I'm not going to do a whole episode on verses, but it just felt too good and what I've been doing. So check out Justice League, the current run. It is so good, and I'm pretty sure it's leading up to another crisis, which is very exciting because they are doing an awesome job. But that's it for me. Sam, what about you? What have you been doing?
I, in the last day, have watched the first 4 episodes of the new season of Mindhunter, and as soon as I'm done recording this, I'm going to go finish it because it is so good. I love the FBI Behavioral Sciences Division, courtesy of Hannibal, and this is like the real life, less creepy. Well, it's still really creepy because it's real version of it, and I'm just living for it this season. Also, there's some hot lesbian action that I'm here for.
Awesome. John, what about you?
So with my Hulu subscription, I've been getting into Veronica Mars.
Ooh.
I'm about like 5 or 6 episodes into the 3rd season by now, so almost done. And yeah, it's weird because they call it a Hulu exclusive. Even while you're watching the 1st and 2nd and 3rd season, on the little bottom right corner, it's like a Hulu original. And I gotta give them some side eye
That
because
was when
those
they
weren't
were
original.
Still on TV, right?
Yeah, those were still TV. Yeah,
I mean, every time you watch Black Mirror, it says a Netflix original.
yeah, not those first ones, guys.
The people in England who watched it before Netflix bought it disagree.
We're colonizing the colonizers.
Yeah,
Suck it.
it's just weird seeing those the first season with that 90s style going on and all those haircuts.
Yeah.
And then Hulu on the bottom right. I'm like, okay, that's weird. But trying to get to that 4th season, and yeah, I'm enjoying it so far.
Cool.
Very Rob Thomas. So I'm starting to realize, because I watched iZombie first, that iZombie is just the zombie version of Veronica Mars. It's detectives,
that.
mysteries, character moments, tears, emotions, things like that.
Well, Veronica Mars had a Power Ranger in it. I'd watch it. Chewie, what about you?
I mean, he's not lying. He would. It's the only way I got him to watch any iZombie.
It's got a Power Ranger in it.
Okay, fine. Well, you know me. I don't really have too much time to watch much these days. I did watch the trailer for Last Christmas at work without sound. And
Yes.
it's currently playing on my phone again without sound. It stars Emilia Clarke and Henry Golding, as it likes to say on the Facebook tag. It does not mention Michelle Yeoh, who honestly should get second billing in front of Henry. I'm sorry, she's a more renowned actor.
She's like a tertiary character.
Yeah.
And Emma Thompson.
And Emma Thompson. Neither of them are mentioned in this tagline on Facebook.
Can you imagine that the trailer recut to just include them based off of like Prestige?
Yeah.
It's like, what kind of movie is this? Well, it's supposed to be a romance film with Emma Thompson and Michelle Yeoh.
But Michelle
No.
Thompson plays Emilia Clarke's mom, I think I can judge without sound. I'm not sure. And she looks like she's this down on her luck drunk girl in England.
Are you just
who's-
reviewing this as you watch it?
Yes. But she like has all these tropes where she has a leopard skin jacket. She's a complete mess.
Right
She's
now?
No, I'm not watching it right now. But she just looks like a hot mess of a woman, and she like somehow kills a fish and burns down a place and whatnot. And Henry Golding is playing like her love interest, I guess. So it's one of those like, I'm just really attracted to a hot mess movies.
Well, he's a dude that
and
finds
it's a
her.
Christmas movie.
He's a manic pixie dream boy.
Is he?
Okay. Yes. And it's based off the George Michael song Last Christmas. So you know there's going to be a tragic twist.
This movie looks completely nuts and like super dramatic and
I
emotions.
cannot wait.
And
I am living for this movie.
a part of me just wants to go see the whole movie, but without sound, so I just make it all up in my head.
I kind of want I want that to be a regular segment somehow.
Oh
that
my God.
that Chewie, you explain what's going on in a trailer without sound.
I told Chewie I can't watch Law and Order SVU because it's just like too much. But I love when Chewie narrates episodes. To
Oh, it's
me.
so good.
It's my favorite.
It's better than watching the show.
Well, it's particularly great when you're there because your face, which the podcast listeners don't get to see, but I do, is
How much he doesn't care about SVU.
it's amazing. I love it. It's my favorite show.
Okay, it's a video. The segment's going to be a video segment with Bryan next to Chewie, and he's going to be just watching her watch the trailer and try to explain it with just the most exasperated face. And I would watch this.
I
100 subs,
This
easily.
is our new
100,000
This
subs.
is our new
At
video
the part of
portion
the
of After
trailer
the Hype.
that is playing on my phone right now, she's covered in Christmas lights and singing in front of a crowd, and then in the next shot is running away ice skates after getting kicked out of an ice skating rink. I'm like, this is totally the type of movies I used to make for Lifetime, but with a really big budget.
Yeah.
Like, I am curious to see it. Last Christmas, everybody.
Sounds
It
like
comes
you'll have
out on November 8th, before Thanksgiving.
Hey, so did The Grinch, and it made $80 million because I'm awesome. Anyway,
It sounds like you'll have a great time watching that with Sam.
Yes!
While I'm at home. Just make sure you get some of those like really big noise canceling headphones, so you still have the deaf movie experience. So you have no sound. There you go.
Yeah.
Are we ready for Endgame? You ready to end it all?
Is anyone ever really ready for Endgame?
it is inevitable.
It
Yeah.
is inevitable. It was all leading to this.
It was all just a game.
Who knew? So Endgame came out earlier this year. It made more money than God.
And then it wasn't enough.
And then it wasn't enough, so,
So
they
they
re-released
re-released
it.
it.
And then it wasn't enough, and
So
then they re-released
They
it.
re-released it again.
And then they did it.
Yeah.
They got there.
They were very humble about it. And then James Cameron came out and actually was very humble about it.
That's because he's James Cameron.
Yeah. He sent
He's the
them
most humble, most
a
egotistical man ever.
congratulatory thing. I don't remember. What did they say? He sent them?
He sent them that scene from Avatar where Jake Sully has all like those like crazy dandelion things like floating all over him, and it's like that's how they know that he's the one. And they took out Jake Sully and put in Iron Man, so he's sitting there with all the things around him because
That's
he is
cute.
the one.
Yeah.
That's cute.
It's cute. Yeah.
Yeah.
James Cameron doesn't do what James Cameron does for James Cameron. James Cameron does what James Cameron does because he is James Cameron.
Don't worry. I'm like, James Cameron will come out with another movie and then blow Disney out of the water again.
He is Disney now
Yeah.
because he's made all of his
Fox.
movies for Fox.
Oh, right.
Yep.
Guys,
we
that's how
live in a
fuck.
capitalist hellscape.
Yeah, we're fucked.
Yep. Speaking of Disney, they made Endgame this year, so let's talk about it.
Okay.
So Endgame, I'll do a very quick breakdown for those of you who possibly could not know what we're talking about or still going to listen to this episode, which is a big fucking buy-in. So 20 some movies happened. That's that story. Then Infinity War happened where Thanos won. At the beginning of this movie, Thanos gets his head lopped off by a very justifiably angry and distraught Thor. 5 years go by. Everybody is dealing with the fact that half of all life has been extinguished. A magical rat, the best being in the world, turns on a time machine sort of thing, and Ant-Man is back. And Ant-Man has figured out time travel somehow with Iron Man somehow, and they decide to do a time heist and take all the stones before Thanos got them to re-click and bring everybody back, and they essentially do just that.
But that everybody includes Thanos, who then decides instead of just wiping out half the population, he's going to try and remake the whole universe in his image.
Yeah, and
But I am Iron Man.
yeah, it just doesn't happen.
No, I am God.
So, did not expect a Biodome reference, but well done.
I am God. No, I am God. Go see Biodome. No.
I don't know where you're gonna go see it, but you should probably rent it. If you can find it in a theater, then have at it.
Oh my God, Polly.
So let's just do a quick round the table. I've seen it now twice. Is everybody else kind of the same number? Has anybody seen it more than twice?
No.
I think it was
Okay.
twice.
Yeah, it's a long, long movie. It's tough to sit through more than once. We didn't do it split it in 2 sittings for this episode. What's our general feelings on it? Like, yay, nay, maybe?
It's a really satisfying conclusion, but I'm done.
Yeah.
Like I think it did what it needed to do. I think the character that, like, kind of the only character that I'm kind of left emotionally drawn to in any way in these films is Thor.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just...
He's the only one that really suffers. In
Yeah,
that, like,
and-
continually.
Yeah, and in this movie, I think his storyline was so... It was the human heart of this insanely comic booky movie.
Yeah.
And for me, that really worked. But I don't think I think I'm just, like, done. You know? Like, I'm
Sure,
just...
yeah.
I'm like Daniel Plainview with that fucking bowling pin. I'm finished.
John, what about you?
Yeah, having seen it twice, I would say I don't quite like it as much as Infinity War, in terms of just a quality thing. But it does feel like we have to be done with this movie. We have to be done with all this arc. So finish it. It was satisfying, but I also feel overloaded and kind of like done.
Sure.
And in the same way, but just more like that was a lot. That was a lot of movie, a lot of stuff happening, a lot of payoffs, a lot of just this and that and that. It's tiring.
Yeah. Chewie?
I kind of had the same feeling towards it on the second viewing. And even like just thinking about before we watched it the second time of the last Hobbit movie.
Yeah.
Where it's a ton of fun. There's a lot of great fan service in it and a lot of great moments and stuff. But by a movie itself, it really should just get cut up a whole bunch and be put on to Infinity War and make it Infinity War like 4 hours long. It'd just be better.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think where I ended on it was fine. Like, I don't think it was a bad movie by any stretch, because the stuff that works in it works so well.
The fan service is amazing.
Holy shit. The last 45 minutes of the movie is just everything I've ever wanted from a comic book movie.
Yeah.
Done better
Yeah.
than anyone has ever thought possible. It's
Yeah.
so
The splash page moments, the little quibs, I mean, I was still a little
just
annoyed.
the final, the I am Iron Man. Like, it's just Thundercap, like all of it is just
Yeah.
awesome. The problem is that there's 2.5 hours of movie before that that's just kind of okay.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
cute scenes.
Yeah.
Like the entirety of when, like particularly the scene I would have cut down, even though I do love Thor's arc. Just them going to Thor, I felt like could have been cut down.
Like in New Asgard.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one doesn't really, because that one really establishes like who he is now. So that one doesn't really bother me very much. But I see what you mean. Like, it does go on.
There's a
little
lot of flack in between every like thing going on. It could be tighter.
I
I
think
think the hallmark of the Avengers movies has always been not the stories themselves, but wanting to spend time with the characters.
yeah. And I feel like this movie, for the most part, understood that. But I think the biggest thing for me that I wish this movie had done, because it kind of felt like that's what they were promising, was it was more of a, let's get the Avengers back together.
Yeah.
Let's get the original team back together and see how they solve this crisis. And sorry, DC, solve this problem.
Solve this issue.
Don't call it a crisis.
This pickle they're in.
Oh golly.
What if Thanos had just been like a giant pickle,
Pickle Thanos.
like from the
I'm
like from the Jelly Spotters Club and
Yeah.
SpongeBob?
Oh my god.
There you go.
Even during the entirety of the last fight sequence when everybody shows up, there was a little blip of a wormhole and Rick and Morty was there and then left.
Pickle Rick!
People would have lost their minds.
Wrong universe.
Like that would have been like someone should just do that on the internet. It would be kind of funny. We're out. Let's get out of here.
That'd have been pretty good.
Amazing.
But that's kind of how I want to start moving through this thing. Is I want to kind of focus on the actual Avengers, because as much as everybody does show up at some point throughout the movie, like, because we all knew they were going
They're just
to.
cameos.
Yeah, essentially, like there are kind of cool moments with everyone gets a moment, and I do enjoy that.
Except Groot never got a moment, right?
No, not really.
Yeah, I remember rewatching it, going, "Why don't we ever see Groot fighting?" You see him get together Raccoon at one point, but
Yeah.
he doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
He
he
kind
doesn't
of got a
have, like,
big moment at the end of Infinity War, but then they're like,
And
okay,
guys,
whatever.
Why don't we see Natasha fighting? Oh wait.
Oh
Yeah.
wait, she's gotta sacrifice her for the greater good of the men.
Okay, well, I was gonna
Yeah.
say let's move through the Avengers, but if we're gonna start on
She
Black
is
Widow,
an
let's just start
Avenger.
with Black Widow.
She's an Avenger.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
She is an Avenger, and she's the one that kept the Avengers even when they weren't there.
Yeah.
She was at HQ, and it made me so angry. Like, she has always been the Avengers. Like, when she
Yeah.
committed, she committed. And they owe everything to her. And then fucking Hawkeye. I know you like Jeremy Renner, but what a waste
I
of a
like
character.
Jeremy Renner.
I
Yeah.
love Jeremy Renner, but
like,
Hawkeye don't do
Just
much.
because he like has a family he abandoned on a farm, she has to abandon her family of Avengers that are literally saving the world for this fucking guy. Like,
Yeah.
She's
stop.
also been the MVP of a bunch of other Marvel movies.
I don't think she's ever been the MVP because they never let her.
That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, they never
She
let her
never
do it.
gets
She's
to do
never been an
anything.
MVP.
But she's
Well, she was helping Captain America in
Helping Captain America.
That's what I mean. She has the greatest problem with the Marvel movies, in my opinion. That save for one, who we got this year, every one of the women in the Marvel universe's motivation is wrapped up in a man's needs.
Yeah. So like the long and the short of it, my biggest problem with the Black Widow in this movie has nothing to do with how little they use her, how poorly they use her. That's number two. Number one is the way she died. It drives me
It
up the
was
fucking wall.
Asinine.
And mostly because I just can't get over the logistics of it. To get the Soul Stone, you have to sacrifice something you love. She killed herself. So Jeremy Renner should be hanging off a cliff going, when do I get my Soul Stone? And fucking Red Skull should be like, you don't. She killed herself. You didn't sacrifice
she
shit.
fought to die. You didn't choose to kill her.
You both are racing to kill yourselves, which means neither one of you get a Soul Stone.
Yeah.
Right.
And it drives me nuts. And I know I need to let it go, but every time that scene starts, I know where it's going. I'm like, I can't handle this.
Especially because, like, in the universe they've established, there was a way out of it where they push themselves off together. Like, they each kill one another. And because the Soul Stone creates a pocket universe, they could have lived, gotten out, and gone together to fight.
There's so many ways, especially when...
and Natasha's smart enough to have known that.
And my thing is, they're the ones making this shit up. This isn't how it works in the comics.
Yeah.
So they're doing whatever they want. So like, well, that's the rules. You made the fucking rules. So if you're going to make a terrible decision, at least own it. Like, do it properly. Like, it drives me nuts. That sequence drives me so insane. And then all the people are like, well, the women on the production are the reason that Natasha died, because they said it'd make more sense for her to die. Like, you can't hide behind women just because...
It's a moment in the movie. It's a moment in the movie that makes you start to think about the logistics of the rest of the movie, and that's not a good thing for how packed this movie is.
Yeah,
you're not supposed to have any time to think about how ridiculous this is.
And it just touches on so many things, like the barren woman sacrificing herself so the man can have his family. And there's so many layers to how insulting it is.
Yeah, it's just the two women problem in the movie. We'll get to the other one later. It's very just. Come on, guys. Like, just fucking get it together. Like, it's unacceptable.
They tried harder with her than they did with the gay character, though.
Oh my god.
I said we're talking about the Avengers. We're not talking about the director going, I'm gay.
Oh, we got it in there, guys.
We have a gay character.
You mean his J.K. Rowling moment?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Those directors have a lot of those moments for this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know that Dumbledore was actually gay in this movie?
Yeah. Oh,
my god.
But beyond the problems with Black Widow, I actually think she did a really good job. I think that this is the first time they actually gave her something to do.
She acted the hell out of that movie.
She did great.
She was amazing. That's why it hurt even more to lose her halfway through, you know?
I've never seen someone do a better job emotionally eating a sandwich.
Yeah. And for me, that scene between her and Captain America is fantastic. Like, that's the first time I really felt that relationship that they established back in Winter Soldier. It's like, oh yeah, these guys were close friends.
Yeah.
And like, I loved their back and forth. I think both of them just nailed the emotion of the scene. It was great. It was really, really well done. And then it just kind of gets forgotten for a while. It's like, oh yeah, here's all this emotional trauma that she's going through, and we'll bring it up later when she's going to die. And I think that's kind of like the biggest problem with this movie as we start moving through most of the Avengers. I think this will be kind of a common through line, is that a lot of times it's just someone's going to pick up a ball and carry it 5 feet and then set it down and then maybe pick it back up again. But this movie has not just double duty, it's triple duty. It's trying to end a whole thing, trying to start new things, and trying to be its own thing. There's going to be problems.
They did a pretty damn good job.
They did.
For what they did it well, but that doesn't mean we can't talk about things like
lacking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's move. So if that's Black Widow, let's talk Hawkeye, because that's obviously the next easiest one. Or Ronin in this movie is what we should be calling him, though nobody ever calls him that.
Like, I will say, the way they open this movie with him spending time with his children, specifically his daughter, and then suddenly just being left in a field going, where the fuck did my family just go? Like, what? Having no knowledge of what's going on in Wakanda, because he's cut off all ties, and just complete obliviousness and the amount of desperation you'd start to feel well up in your chest of panic and everything. Like, I can't even imagine, like, what, because it makes sense then, what he ends up doing of trying to murder every bad person that got to stay instead of his family.
And I think it's the best opening any of these movies has ever had, in terms of just the amount of gut punch, character work, and just how serious it is. Like,
it's a very effective scene. And it's one of those things where I'm like, that should have been a Disney Plus show. Is his turn into Ronin, or a Netflix show. I know they don't work with Netflix anymore, but like something where it could have been violent and actually have teeth. Like, you just set yourself up for something amazing. And what we get is an action sequence that we don't actually see because it happens in a building that we're outside of.
And then the camera like conveniently walks around them as they're facing off, and you never see anything really happen.
It did feel very like Marvel Netflixy, like Daredevil-y in that moment.
And I think that's cool. I think it's a really good idea. And if they had actually gotten their shit together with I forget his name, like Jeff Loeb, I think it was, who did all the Netflix shows, and had him working with Daredevil, that would have been an awesome scene.
Yeah.
If it turns out like, oh yeah, these two are actually working together. Just something like that, just something to throw some nod to the Netflix shows would have been really cool, and it would have really worked, I think, with Hawkeye. But instead, we just kind of get a quick scene that he's pretty much over being this crazy murder guy within about 3 seconds.
Well, okay.
Don't get my hopes up. I'm going to get your hopes up. Yep. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I guess.
And then in the
Moving
Throw
on.
and Leia at the end of Rogue One, they gave us hope.
Yeah. But I think that's kind of my biggest thing with them is like there's not really a lot. Like I feel like every movie, like next time Hawkeye's gonna have a ton of plot. I meant next time. No, Infinity War. He's gonna have a ton of plot in Infinity War. We cut him out of Infinity War. It's all gonna be an Endgame though. Oh, we cut him down in Endgame.
Yeah,
He's so useless.
But I don't disagree with you, but he shouldn't be.
His character could be great.
Sure, but they didn't choose that.
They choose not to.
And so it's like trying to make him that emotional opening scene, like at face value, like devastating.
Yeah.
But get me to like the real Avengers, please.
Like how Thor is the greatest of toughest Avenger. He's the least Avenger, at least in these movies.
Well, it's just nice to know that in 20 movies, we're never going to be able to defend how like Hawkeye's used for the team. Right. To anyone who's never encountered Hawkeye in anything before. It's like, well, I want to watch the movies. He's in the movies, right? No. He's kind of in the movies, and then you're just going to see him and like, oh, bye.
Yeah, and he's not really even... Well, he's trapped, actually, during a lot of the end fight, isn't he? Yep. Because he's not featured in that at all either.
Not helping Sam's useless argument at all.
Yeah. Well, he gets his cute, like, James Cameron moment with the alien sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it does have my favorite thing that I just saw the meme this morning of in the first time he and Black Panther meet, he goes, "We haven't met yet. Hi, I'm Clint." And Black Panther goes, "I don't care." And then in this movie, the first time they see each other, the first time they see each other since Civil War, he goes, "Clint, give me the glove." It's like, oh, he didn't care, but he remembered.
T'Challa is such a good diplomat, but he is all of us.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move into the big green guy himself. Let's talk Hulk.
I'm still a little bit confused on how the merging worked. So, like, I thought the way he describes it is that they are two halves of a coin. And I've read that in stories before in book form, which is really interesting to get the internals of it, because you do get the feeling of the two personalities. I did not get that from him at all. Like, he really just felt like Bruce Banner got kind of jolly and is always the size of the Hulk.
Yeah, I didn't get any Hulk.
There's an hour of his character development missing somewhere on the cutting room floor.
Especially given where we left him in Infinity War.
He was like, we need to talk, buddy.
Yeah. I want to see that talk. Like, Mark Ruffalo is a good enough actor, and I've cared enough about Thor through these things. Or not Thor, Hulk. Because he has gotten to do a little bit more than, say, Hawkeye.
Yeah, for sure. Well, with Ragnarok alone, he's gotten a lot more.
Yeah. It particularly stood out for me, though, the lacking of that when he gets I forgot the word for it, when he gets hit in the chest by the wizard. All my words today are just not there.
He gets disassociated by Tilda.
Yeah, when my girl Tilda takes him out of his body.
And then it's only Bruce. Like, if they're supposed to be merged, shouldn't they both be there coming out of the body?
I think so, but... Well, I think the idea was that they are two halves of the whole, and he is the body and he is the mind. So the body was knocked out and the mind is left. Is how I took it.
But they had established the Hulk as a separate entity. Like, I don't know if he was supposed to be a separate soul or just a separate personality, but he was separate.
But I think
it wasn't just his body.
That's why he said he merged. So it is now Hulk body, Bruce mind. And that's what I took as the merge. So she just wanted to talk to his mind without the body, so she just took the mind out.
Yeah.
But
and
after
on a practical
watching
level,
Ragnarok about Thor or Hulk talking about how he would get angry that no one took him seriously, that's sad.
I don't think it was very flawlessly executed. I think it's exactly what John and Sam just said. It's missing an hour of story.
Yeah.
Like there is a good solid half-hour short film they should have put on the DVD or the Blu-ray or the whatever it is, where you find out how he did this.
Yeah.
Because just taking it like, yeah, I did it. It's great now. Look, I'm taking selfies. It just kind of,
Especially because it was such a plot point in Infinity
Yeah.
War. And I think Hulk has always been probably the most interesting in terms of his internal journey.
He's my
you know?
favorite. He's my favorite character of the Avengers in this bunch. Just to see him get, he's one step above Hawkeye. This whole series of movies has been so sad because I love that character, and
well,
Mark Ruffalo is amazing, and the things he's been able to do with that character has been so great.
well, especially since Kevin Feige has been saying since Ultron that if you pay attention to Ultron through the last Avengers movie, which we found out was Endgame, there is an arc for the Hulk that people will find satisfying as if he had his own movie. You missed. That didn't happen.
You missed the huge moment
Yeah.
of pathos where he actually has to confront the two parts of himself. And instead you just handed it up to us.
Yep.
And that doesn't, given what we went through in Ragnarok and what we went through in Infinity War, it's a shame.
Because
It really is.
that made sense. Like from Ragnarok to Infinity War, I'm like, all right, I'm on board. I see I would still rather a Hulk movie, but I see what they were aiming for. Like I can
Yeah.
see the framework, even if it's not perfect, it's good enough. And then we get to this one, it's like, ooh, we missed a chapter.
Yeah. It's like, talk about exposition dump. It's more
Yeah.
like exposition explain away.
Now-
Luncheonette.
And all that said, I still really enjoy the Hulk in the movie. I
Oh,
think
he's hilarious.
He's funny. I really like Ruffalo's performance with it. I think the idea of having a totally cognizant Hulk was actually really fun, and especially since we go like time travel back to the first Hulk and just seeing the two of them. Like,
Oh, that is so great.
it's so good.
It's so great to see him so embarrassed at himself,
yeah.
and to see all those jokes pay off, and then just the Jolly Hulk was such a neat thing.
Yeah.
Having no idea that this was gonna happen in this movie. Just to see him be so pleasant with glasses and holding the little taco for Scott Lang.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is so great. This is like, give me more of him. This is amazing.
Yeah, I thought it was all great. I wish we knew how he got there, but for not having it, it was still good enough where I was entertained the whole time. It's just one of those things when I walk away afterwards, I'm like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But while watching it, I think it works. I think it works really well.
Thor is, if I were to rewatch this movie again, it would only be the Thor scenes. And it's not just like, I know you guys know how much I love the Thor franchise.
Mhm.
I think
As
Chewie and I
like
are
a
right
thing.
there with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the best out of the
But I
MCU.
think his arc was the most complete and completely realized in the film. Like, we see a really angry, really fucked up Thor from his decision in Infinity War. And it's the only one that carries through, I think, appropriately from Infinity War. He makes a decision out of anger. He thinks it's going to help himself. And then instead it's just like PTSD City. And I think that moment when he grabs his hammer and says he's still worthy after talking to his mom
Oh, yeah.
legit brought me to tears.
It's
I'm like getting
so
upset
good.
just thinking about it because he just
Yeah.
it was so
Just
well
in
done.
front of
It's
it- in
the
front of his-
most amount of dialogue.
In front of his
Ryan
mother,
pointed
no
out
less.
that she got.
Yeah,
I know, and it was like I
and
wish
she
I
nailed it. She
Yeah.
was so. I mean, it's
We-
Renee Russo. It's what you expect.
But like
still,
to have that moment with his mother again, just the convergent of all his movies, like you said, and just it just became more than just Chris Hemsworth in a fat suit making jokes at being fat. Like it transcended that.
and it meant
Oh, yeah.
it meant so much to see him still be broken when he changed into his costume at the end and
Yeah.
zapped it. Like, he still has a ways to go, but he's still in this. Like, it's funny because he's a god, but he's the most human character.
absolutely.
I love, like, it. His arc just meant so much, and I found it so inspiring. And like at the end, when he's just like finally free to be himself, he chooses to go with Rabbit, you know?
The Asgardians of the galaxy.
And when he just tells Valkyrie, I think too, like, the fact that he let Valkyrie take over leadership, he saw she was better.
yeah.
Like, I've been sore about this since How to Train Your Dragon 2, when Hiccup didn't just say, hey, Astrid, I'm going to go ride off on my dragon. You're better, girl. I got that. I got a Viking telling the girl she's better. And then
There's a lot of
flying
problems
off
with
into space.
Dragon too.
I'm aware, but like that happened within the first 30 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've been carrying this with me. And then my sweet, sexy, beefy Viking did the right thing by Tessa Thompson. And I can't wait for more Taika movies.
The other thing that I gotta say about Thor is I honestly believe Hemsworth has gotten better each movie.
Mm-hmm.
And like that
Yeah.
says something because he was good from the beginning. Like I loved him in the first Thor. That's part of the reason why Thor was my favorite out of the first phase.
But when
Or
you
at
go
least-
back, you can see just it's raw, it's early,
Yeah.
it's young, and it's like this is interesting.
And he was still good. He's still very charismatic and a good-looking guy. And you can see why they wanted him for Thor over, say, like Tom Hiddleston.
yeah.
Although I do love watching his audition tape because it's adorable. It's like, oh, look at you try to be big and tough.
But yeah, but watch Chris in both Thor 1 and Cabin in the Woods. Both those are like
Yeah.
I mean,
just so young, like so just raw with it. And
it's
just
kind
seem-
of funny because you can look at the evolution of Thor. Like the first Thor movie is like a preteen. I'm gonna be awesome. I'm born into this. Blah.
Kenneth Branagh.
Second, yes.
tilt that camera. Woo!
The second Thor is like teenage years, hormones, dark, brooding, emo phase, elves,
Red goo.
Yeah. And then the third core Thor is, your 20s. You have some freedom. You're gonna have
The
fun.
quarter-
You're gonna take some
The
drugs.
quarter life crisis, where you're like, what am I doing with my life?
And
Am
then
I the god of hammers?
And then these movies
And
are
then-
like middle aged. Like I've seen some shit. Like fuck, this is life.
Infinity War is like, you have to pay taxes now.
Oh no.
Fuck.
Oh no! What is a 1044? My hammer.
Endgame is the government's taking away Social Security and you don't have a pension.
Endgame is you paying taxes after you claimed 8 all year.
Oh.
Adult jokes.
But you can view the movies kind of like that, right? It works. It's a very
100%.
evolution of Thor.
Yeah, for sure. And he sells it so well.
Hopefully he gets a good retirement plan as a Guardians of the Galaxy. We'll find out.
I also
That's freelance work, man.
Yeah. And because of the whole James Gunn thing, that's not the movie coming out next.
Yeah.
They're getting Love and Thunder next. So we'll see what happens.
I also really like that Thor's been like such a refuge. Like it's how to be a man in an age where like toxic masculinity is so rampant. Because he starts off very like brash, bravado,
Yeah.
throwing
Yeah.
mugs. I'm a man, and at the end he cedes control to a woman. So because
It's a great evolution.
he steps aside for
Yeah.
Steve, he steps aside for Valkyrie. He realizes that the strength is in his humility.
But he
And
won't
it's-
step aside for Star-Lord.
No, why would you?
We all know who's in charge.
Star-Lord
We do.
Star-Lord is like Star-Lord is like Thor a couple movies
So-
ago, you know?
Yeah.
He's gonna teach that little
he's
baby.
an idiot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, God,
I
that's
think
so good.
the introduction of Star-Lord in this one, where they just knock him over the face after
Yeah.
his intro scene, I laughed out loud both times because I love that in Back to the Future. Like when they do that, they've Back to the Future to this, and all those moments have been fun. But that one especially, seeing
The
Star-Lord
best
get
is-
whacked in the face and just like, oh god, fall over.
So Back to the Future was bullshit? Oh, poor Ant-Man. All right, we got one more Avenger, and then we'll kind of move into the movie a little
Two
bit
more.
Yeah,
Oh, two more.
Three more if we ever want to talk about Ant-Man.
Well, I don't count him as an original Avenger.
he's not an original in this.
Never mind.
Fuck Ant-Man.
Yeah, I love Ant-Man, but so oh my god, who am I blanking on?
Iron Man.
Not
And,
Iron
and
Man.
Cap.
Captain America.
Captain America. That's how do I forget Captain America?
I mean, it's America's ass.
I mean, if we did want to add a technical Avenger, it'd be your girl Pepper Potts, but
she's only an Avenger at the end of this movie.
she's been an Avenger the whole damn time.
she
she
has
was
not.
Black Widow before Black Widow.
How?
No, I refuse to see her shunted off to the sideline like a secretary. Tony would never have joined the Avengers without Pepper, and it was so fucking satifying to see her
that
in the
doesn't make her
rescue
an
suit.
Avenger, though. That makes her an advisor.
But that's like saying that Nick Fury wasn't an Avenger.
He isn't an Avenger.
He's not. He's the
Okay, well,
manager.
She's like a better Nick Fury because she
Sure, I'll
stuck
give
it
you that.
out. That
Yeah,
dumb
I'll
bitch
give you
was
that.
hiding in the shadows. Anyway, Pepper
I'm-
Potts, my girl,
Yeah.
rescue,
I'm
love her.
fine with all of that, but she's not an Avenger. Well, she is at the end of the movie
It's
because
right
everyone is. Everyone who
Everyone
happened
is
to be
an
Avenger.
You
Avenger
have
at the end of
I've
this
been
movie.
waiting for that since Iron Man 1.
Well, you got it.
I did.
It showed up.
It meant it was like the coolest. Like that scene was so lame,
Them-
but she was so cool.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Them back
Anyway,
to
Captain
back
America.
fighting in there was cool.
Yeah.
Captain America.
Captain America, America's ass.
America's ass.
Oh.
All right, now Iron Man.
I as far as
yeah.
I think
I realize we've been talking for a while. Let's move through these guys.
I did like that he got his dance with Peggy.
he did.
He did.
And it was so amazing. I think as far as movies go, this opened right and this ended right.
It didn't. It ended wrong, and I can explain why.
Do tell.
Oh, do tell.
They have a fucking time machine, so they can end up anywhere in time. At the end of Captain America, the first Avenger, he has a date with Peggy Carter, time and place.
At an event.
At an event. He has a time machine. You make that date because now you can. And then your movie ends beautifully.
Unless he's going to be in
I
hiding.
like cry. I'm because Peggy has been waiting for that. I
Yep.
watched her for 2 seasons after that missed date. Oh,
You make the date. You have a fucking time machine.
especially because it's Steve and he's a gentleman.
Exactly.
To be fair, the Russos didn't watch the first Captain America movie.
Clearly, but still.
Oh.
Could you just imagine the end of it? She just goes to the date because she said she was going to be there, and she's kind of sad, but she's also, he saved the world. And some guy hits on her, and she's like, no, I'm waiting for somebody.
I'm doing this
And
for
then
him.
somebody hands her a drink. He's like, sorry, I made you wait so long. And the movie ends right there.
I would love it if it's like Chad Michael Murray that hits on her, and that's why he was so mad through all the series.
That'd have been hysterical.
Ugh.
But seriously, if you ended on him actually making the date, perfect. Instead, we get nice.
Yeah, it was nice.
I'm fine with nice,
If he's,
but it could have been perfect.
yeah, if it, the only way I can explain that is that somehow he lives out his rest of his life with her in like hiding or something, so that he doesn't influence a timeline.
How did he give back a soul stone? How
I
did he
don't
like? He had to
know.
meet the Red Skull. You can't dive into what he does in his time journey.
Yeah, he
'cause
had
it
he had to
and
come
that's
with
really
a-
falls apart.
And that's okay. Like
Yeah,
I'm
it's
willing.
fine.
I need to concede this
Yeah.
because like it is a comic book film at
Exactly,
its
yeah.
most comic book,
Yeah.
and time travel is never going to be perfect unless you're like Bill and Ted.
I
Yeah,
think
if you really want to pull the strings, it's gonna fall apart like crazy.
Yeah,
so I'm just
it's
gonna let
true.
it go.
I think
Yeah.
as far as what they wanted to do with the movie in terms of giving Captain his rest, giving him his
Yeah.
like peace again, I think that's where that works.
It still would have worked if you made the date.
Yeah, I know. But as far as just a still moment ending with something so un-comic book like with them just
Yeah.
dancing, it was a nice touch for me.
and
Like
he came home to her.
Yeah.
Like I think.
Still kind of better.
No, I know.
No, no,
I- better.
I agree with
Not-
It was
Yeah.
a beautiful. It was a nice sequence. It wasn't a wonderful sequence, but it was
Yeah.
nice.
Iron Man.
Iron Man's where we started getting into a bit of the debate of this movie of like when you click your fingers, how do you make sure you have the right thing
Yeah,
in
that's
your
true.
head?
don't think of marshmallows. Don't think of marshmallows. Don't think of marshmallows.
It first started
If it
with
just
the
started
Hulk
raining cheeseburgers,
because he has,
damn it!
Oh my God, Cloudy with a chance of Avengers.
but because a lot of this movie hinges on when he goes back to the Avengers and says, "I will help. We will get what we lost, but I will not give up what I have gained." That's pretty
Yeah,
much the right
Pretty
quote.
close. Yeah, you're close enough.
So then, in that moment when the Hulk puts on the glove, and I'm like, okay, you got to have it in your head. Bring back everything we've lost, but don't erase the last 5 years. You have to have the right sentence in your brain for that snap. Otherwise, you fuck things up and you just took away Tony's daughter. Or like just his experience of raising her. However, like what could happen?
Where you Barry Allen it and he ends up with
Yeah.
the son. Like, wait, what?
Whoa.
I mean, this
Sorry,
isn't
DC
like,
again. My bad.
this isn't about time. This isn't. I mean, I do think with the, you know,
It's one of
like,
those things where like it's
you
a
have
it's
like
a
two
comic
of the
movie. You have to
smartest.
assume
Yeah, you have two of
they're
the
gonna pull it
smartest
off.
people in the
Yeah.
world with
Yeah.
some of the smartest, most intuitive rocks ever
Yeah.
magicked. I think we're fine.
Yeah.
And I love the end sequence when Iron Man gets to do his click and he
Yeah.
clicks and he says, "I am Iron Man."
So good.
If he somehow didn't clear his mind at the right moment, everyone could have just turned into Iron Man. So it's just like he has to say, "I am Iron Man," and then have it the right thing in his head to go, get rid of Thanos cronies. Or get rid of current Thanos cronies because you don't want to get rid of Gamora and Nebula.
Yeah.
So
I can just imagine the personification of the stone sitting there being like, how do we parse this out?
you can't say get
It's
rid
like
of
a wish. It's like
Yeah.
a shitty DM with a wish spell.
You can't say get rid of
Uh.
enemies because that just gets rid of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I do.
Yeah,
Get rid of all my enemies. And Thor's like, wait, what'd I do?
Oh, my cat would be so mad at me, but I'm very tired.
So it's. So I've always, for some reason, always kind of had that thought, like, what if I got a lamp? You know, you got to be really careful about your wishes, people.
Did you just watch like Wes Craven's Wishmaster too many times?
No.
I do like that they took the route of that. Even though we're joking about it, just having something to make the alternate timeline still compelling enough to stay. I thought that was a nice touch.
My thing with it was I went into this movie expecting not to like Iron Man, and I don't know why. Like I went in not like as like a character, but like just me as a fan, just being done with Iron Man because
Well,
I
his
just
arc
kind of
is-
got burnt out on him over the years. Because I never felt like he was the leader of the Avengers
Yeah.
because I've read comics my whole life. And
Yeah.
He's never the leader.
I did get
of the
tired
Avengers.
of them always kind of trying to hammer home he's the most important one.
Yeah, and it's like it's Captain America.
Mm.
Like it's in his freaking title.
And also, like
But-
at the end of Civil War, you're not siding with Iron Man.
Exactly.
No.
So like I've always been kind
No.
of not always, but recently I've been kind of burnt out on him. And I love Robert Downey Jr. I think he does great with the character. But either way, I'm just kind of like I went in expecting to go like, finally done with him. And I think he did great. Like I think he sold it, and especially like, and I even read that the I Am Iron Man was a reshoot. He was supposed to be silent. Like when they originally did it, he was silent and he clicked. And like we got to have him say something. He's asking for a response. So he had to go back, and apparently he didn't want to do the line. It took 3 different people to convince him that this is the way to do it. And they were all right. I think it worked perfect. I loved it. Like I got chills. The first time I saw it, I am inevitable. I was like, well, this isn't going to work. And just that look of I am Iron Man.
Especially because
So
that's
good.
what
And I do
started it
kind of-
all.
Yeah,
like the end of
exactly.
the first
So
film, he
good.
just walks out, all the bravado in the world. No suit, like we don't have to fuck around with secret identities. This is a new kind of
A
thing
new
that we
bravado.
haven't
Like
seen. Yeah.
the bravado it hasn't changed. His maturity has, and it's a great
It's
payoff.
so good.
Yeah,
It
because
is-
he's sacrificing himself instead of putting himself out there. You know,
Yeah.
like it's really cool. Like a very humbled
I-
Avenger.
And I really liked his sequence with his dad.
I did
that
too.
was a cute
I
moment.
I would've
love
liked-
John Slattery as Howard Stark. I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah.
the best part of Iron Man 2 is not a great film, but the sequence in between them was one of my favorite in the Marvel universe.
Oh, with
so
the-
to get to see them interact again
Yeah,
was
yeah.
so special.
And they play off each other really well.
They
Like
do.
they really play the father-son aspect really well.
They
like you can
feel
see
it.
Yeah. And I like seeing John Slattery. Like I think he's good.
Yeah.
Silver
In my
Fox.
head, I always refer to him as Sterling. but-
Yeah, I do too. I can't help it.
And it was nice to be able to get some community folk in there.
Yeah.
Well, they always bring in somebody.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that whole sequence when he kind of walks in front of her just so she can't stare at Iron Man
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
Captain America
America, yeah.
anymore. And be like, don't recognize him. And she's just totally looking at her like, I know you from
That
somewhere.
guy
Oh.
looks important.
I know we already covered Cap, but like when he Hail Hydra'd Frank Grillo, I
So
was
good.
so happy.
What Brian and I actually talked about, like, can you imagine how confused he's going to be when the other sequences happen and they're like Hydra rising, and then Captain throws a shield at him. He's like, "What? I thought you were a Hydra. You told me you were a Hydra."
Who told you that?
stupid
You
bitch.
did.
Like it was just so great because it like everything after that would have just like made him look so stupid.
Oh yeah, he's like, I could have sworn he was on our side. No, he's our arch nemesis. What are you talking about, Crossbones?
You're so
You're on desk
stupid.
duty. All right, so that's the original Avengers. Let's kind of talk just about the movie itself in general, feelings on it, like what works for you, what didn't work for you. I know we all kind of are. I will still keep seeing the Marvel movies. I still enjoy them. I'm just kind of done podcasting about them. But I think that kind of speaks to the nature of the movie, and I think that's kind of where I'll start with it. I like the final feel of it. I kind of wish they'd spent less time setting up their Disney Plus shows and Phase 4. And
I
that
still
stuff.
don't understand
gonna
what
do that.
WandaVision's going to be about.
I don't either, but I'll watch it because I think she's great.
They got
as
a
Wanda.
MacGuffin Vision back somehow.
Yeah, somehow. But I do kind of wish they'd spent a little less time with that, but they really didn't kill too much. Like it wasn't Iron Man 2 levels of setting up the Avengers. It was really just like, hey, Loki escaped. I bet, and there's a Loki show in the works. So there you go. Like they really just kind of like the little hits there, here and there. But overall, I just kind of wish they had just focused more on being this,
Yeah.
like just being the celebration of the end. Like just let it be.
If it would have been great if the movie didn't have to sell some other things too.
Yeah.
And had just been a complete thing, because the movie does, like, after watching this movie, the whole of Marvel, everything feels complete.
Yeah.
It feels done. It feels concluded, satisfying, and now we're going to get into that. Like, I mean, I hope that for people's job's sake that these things keep doing well. And
I mean, Spider-Man crushed it. So
yeah,
that's
so like, and they're going to be doing well. But for me, thematically, like, there's nothing more that I feel like I need to see.
Yeah.
Because it began with
anything-
Iron Man and ended with Iron Man, began with Captain America and ended with him. Like, the set, it's done.
Yeah. So every time they're like, check out what's coming next, I'm like, I don't really care.
I care.
I'll probably
'cause
still watch it.
I want to see like Disney to live up to what they say, and finally give us some good Marvel themed female movies. Like
Yeah.
not just one. Give us many.
That
Give us a
wasn't even
female
that
meetup
satisfying.
movie.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
just,
that's what, like, I don't think it's going to be Black Widow. As soon as they said
No.
when it takes place, I'm like, well, shit.
like
When did I didn't hear when it's
It
taking
takes place after Civil War.
it's so dumb.
Oh,
Like, it should have been about Budapest. That's what it should have been. We would have finally
They-
made
yeah.
Jeremy Renner's character
Hinted at it
worthwhile.
1,000 times.
Like,
There's
a
just
lot
so
of-
many opportunities after Civil War to make it not about her.
Yeah.
And they're going to take every single one of them.
Yeah. So it's just like, but
But that's the thing is, even in the upcoming slate,
if it's after
there's-
Civil War, isn't she supposed to be with Captain America the whole time?
I think so. So if it's just another Winter Soldier, was it Winter Soldier or was it? Yeah, it's Winter Soldier. The two of them teamed up the whole time,
It's
right?
just,
Yeah.
whatever. Because it'll end up being about him, not her.
I really hope not. I don't. I think they know enough to know if they do that, they're going to lose a shitload of people and money. And Disney
I'm
is
not
all
sure
about
if they
not losing
do,
money.
because right now they're blaming the fans for not liking
Star Wars
Star Wars
Yeah.
Land instead of like being like, well, maybe we
You
made a
opened it
mistake.
too early. There was only one ride prepared, and you guys have
And
been
that ride has
losing-
potentiality to suck depending on who you ride it with.
Yeah,
And all the other experiences, you have to spend money to have that experience.
yeah. It's
It's so,
insane.
it's like, so yes, they don't necessarily know that they're making the wrong decision.
I guess that's true. We'll see. I mean, I'm hoping for the best because I really like Scarlett Johansson. Over like the last 5 years or so, she's become like one of my favorite actors. I think she's great.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of her getting her own movie that people won't immediately go, that's terrible because she shouldn't have been cast in it. It's like, no, this is a full-blown action movie with her and people are on board for it. So for
and we
that
all
alone,
agree she's awesome.
Exactly.
Like we've
Yeah.
all seen her through to the
Yeah.
end. There's no disliking her.
And she's had hallucinations because of these outfits they stick her in.
Yeah,
So
so,
I
like-
would like them for her to like
exactly.
something out of
so
it.
I'm hoping, I have really good hopes for that one. But
but
I agree with you.
then on the but now I can actually be selective. Now that this whole arc is over and like I've seen all these, I'm not missing out. I can now wait for it's like give me the one I want.
Like,
And
so-
I will wait until you do. And it's
exactly.
like
I'm
for-
probably not going to see one until Doctor Strange 2 or Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
because
Exactly.
I don't. Need
But
to
like
care.
if you were to take the time to watch Far From Home,
Mhm.
there's a 20-minute sequence in it that is on par with the end of this movie as far as like comic book goodness.
Okay.
They hit it out of the park so well. It's insane. And it's like for those moments, I'll still show up, but I get why people aren't. Even with all like the things that we've been kind of talking about, how they kind of go like, this is coming and this is coming, this is coming.
well,
What
and
is-
it's
what
more
is
of like
the
that
first
excuse.
movie coming out next? I forgot.
The next movie is Black Widow.
That is the next one.
I think it's next February.
Hmm.
Phase 4 is weird. We'll get to Phase 4 at the very end of this. That's what we're doing instead of a review system is Phase 4 stuff. So don't worry.
Okay.
Phase 4 is coming.
I
But
haven't read anything about Phase 4.
the question you'll still be able to answer.
Okay.
It's one question, but you'll be able
This
to
is how tired I am now. Like this is not to say that I disliked any of the experience. Like it's really cool to think about where I was when I saw Iron Man and
Yeah.
where I like how I got to see this movie and it's fun because it's definitely like a cultural touchstone and it's been so fun to be part of it.
Oh yeah.
Like that's awesome, but I'm so done.
But like that's the thing is like being part of this has been awesome and having this movie to cap it all off was great. It was a party we were all invited to. We got the privilege to pay to go.
Well, and it was an experiment that worked.
It
that
worked.
making a serialized movie, and it's like that's interesting. And the
Yeah.
things that you can do with that, if you have the a billion million infinity money that Disney has,
Yeah.
and the power, you could tell other stories in a serialized way too. Maybe you can bring some TV to movies in terms of
Yeah.
serialized storytelling.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's the door that this thing kicked open should be really interesting to see what people do with it, as long as they don't just keep trying to copy them.
Mhm.
Because the more they copy,
That
the more
is
it doesn't work.
Shown to fail.
Every time.
Yeah.
Every time somebody's tried to copy them, it's failed. But if you do your own thing, it can work. But back to Endgame. So I think my biggest complaint that I told people before was I don't like that we got rid of Infinity War Thanos. That's always kind of driven me a little nuts because, and on the most recent rewatch, it made more sense to me just from a storytelling standpoint. But to explain it, the Thanos we got in Infinity War had emotional stakes in that story. He'd been doing this for a long time. He'd been searching for a long time. He had to kill his favorite daughter, as he describes her, to get there. So he was emotionally invested. And that version that we saw in the beginning of the movie was him done. He was Sam with Marvel movies at the end of this.
Yeah.
Just fucking done. So when he gets killed, it's like, whatever. And then we replace him with the Guardians of the Galaxy Thanos, who has no emotional baggage in this whatsoever. And he's a punchable bad guy, easily defeatable. The one that we got from
Who
Infinity
ups
War.
the stakes by saying instead of 50%, gonna kill you all and
Yeah.
remake the universe in my
he just
image.
be like, I am more
Yeah.
evil.
Yeah, just more empty promises that we all know. Like, especially because you're watching Endgame, you know he's going to lose. But at the same time, we had one of the best villains they've ever created, and now we got a way lesser version of him because the stakes aren't there anymore. He's an opportunist in this movie. In the other movie, he was a conqueror. He earned those stones. In this one, he showed up at the right time and place.
And Infinity War did a good job of setting that up.
Yeah.
Against any other villain that's ever come in on the Marvel side of things, he was a villain.
Yeah.
He made sense, and the whole thing works. Like, I could be on his side if he made a good enough argument.
Yeah.
Like, that hasn't happened.
And this Thanos wasn't that.
No.
And he was still an engaging villain because Josh Brolin's a good actor, and I think the effects on him were great. And I love watching a whole bunch of superheroes try to fight one guy. It's one of my favorite things in the world. And this one had that perfect with Captain Thundercap, Thor, and with Iron Man all trying to fight him. And it was just like, you guys are losing bad. And it's awesome and it's so good, but that emotion isn't there. And it's a bummer.
And when you really boil it down to all that needed to happen for Nebula to turn off her Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Oh, Neb. She's, that's typical her though.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I love.
Just turn off your Wi-Fi.
I love how important Nebula became because I've always had such a soft spot for her. Like,
Yeah.
I know she's bad when we meet her, but like,
She's
just
got
so,
baggage too.
She's so abused.
Yeah.
In the original comics with Infinity Gauntlet, she's the one who wins.
Yeah.
She saves the day.
That makes sense because
Yeah.
emotionally the stakes are there for her. Like she was she was snapped by Thanos before the rest of the universe.
Yeah.
She was like, look at what will happen to you if you don't stop him.
Yeah.
And you will be incomplete. You will be half a person. And like, I wish they had done a little bit more right by her, but I feel like given what they'd set up and that this was an Avengers movie and not Nebula's arc, it was just cool.
I think they did a good job with it. I especially like her killing the old version of herself. Like, that is just like, whew.
I liked them playing finger football.
Yeah. That was
Just like she's like super like into it. Like, how do I play this game? You won.
I just love did you have fun? Yes.
Yes.
My-
Actually, it's like defensive while she's saying
She's
yes.
so good in this.
My parents named their dog after her well before Infinity War came out.
That's awesome.
And they were so happy because they're like, oh, she's a good girl.
I think to that point you said about Nebula shooting herself, though, this movie does pay off a lot of those moments and really just puts them on screen, like the themes, and in a way that the other movies have been able to kind of drag the goalpost a little bit and kind of wait and hold off on things. But seeing Nebula shoot herself, seeing all the imagery, it's really compelling and really good.
But
that's
a galactic
kind of
therapist or something.
Yeah.
Unless anybody else had any other big complaints, I kind of want to move into that final action sequence and kind of go through those beats, and then we'll move into the end of this thing.
Here for
Was
that.
there any other major complaint that we need to get out
the
of the way?
stupid kid from the third Iron Man movie being at the funeral, and then other dudes trying to tell me how that was a great moment. I'm like, no, it wasn't. It was left to everyone going, who the fuck was that at the end of the movie?
That was just somebody from Iron Man 3 got their way.
Yeah. It's just
because somebody's like, no, he was supposed to be the next Iron Man. That's what we were setting up. Come on, clearly.
No.
No, nobody wanted him.
Most
people,
people,
no, come on.
Most people, at least me, forgot he was even a thing.
Yeah. I just assume Shuri's going to be the next Iron Man because she wears the same colors and is better.
Or
Morgan.
Or anyone who we care about.
Yeah.
Not the stupid kid from Iron Man 3.
Not the kid from Iron Man 3.
Yeah, that kid was annoying. Like, Shane Blacked himself with that one.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. End of the movie. We got all these gargantuan moments, all these payoffs for 21 movies, 22 movies, just one after another for a half hour straight. And I got to say, it was pretty awesome. There was one that I recently saw that Dan Slott, the writer of Amazing Spider-Man for 10 years, took major issue with. And I went, I guess I could kind of see that. Spider-Man is not known for killing anyone. He doesn't kill. And when he gets surrounded, he goes, activate instant kill! And he kills everything around him, which just doesn't feel very...
It's not Spider-Man in general. He's never been a chance to be his own Spider-Man. He's been Iron Man Spider-Man.
Exactly. So that's why I'm kind of like, this isn't normal Spider-Man. So I'm kind of okay with it. I can see why Dan Slott, who spent 10 years writing this character and loves this character, would be like, that's not the one I wrote. It's like, yeah, but he isn't.
But it's not the one you wrote.
Yeah, it's not the
That's
one you
okay.
wrote.
The one you wrote didn't get a suit from Iron Man. He made his own
at some
suit.
point. But
Did
still,
he?
yeah. But either way, it's like...
He's acting in line with the character that they've created, for better or worse.
Yeah.
He's a very reactionary Spider-Man in these movies.
Yeah, and I think it worked, especially because it was a payoff to the Spider-Man movie where he takes off the training reel program and like activate instant kill. He's like, what? No. So that's when he found out he had that. And it's kind of a cool moment. So this is kind of a cool callback to that. Like, oh, I can do this. Yeah. So I liked it. I think it worked. I thought Spider-Man was great in like the 3 scenes he had. I really liked Tom Holland in the role. And I never thought I would because I still like Andrew Garfield. He's my boy. But I think he did a good job. For what he had to do, I think he did a good job.
And they managed to like show his age in this fight. Like in combat, it's interesting to see how like he's very kid-like, and they really somehow do that well, where he's like holding onto the Thanos glove just like a little child. It was very interesting to see a younger Spider-Man and how they played with that.
Yeah.
And then to ask somebody who just flew through a ship like 3 times like it's butter, go, how are you going to get this there?
That line still annoys me because it's like, I just flew through a ship. These are just
what
people.
Do you think
I'm going right through them.
Yeah, I'm going to be fine.
God.
It's going to be a cloud of blood, and then I'm going to get to where I need to be.
But as far as like
seen The Boys opening scene.
Yeah. But as far as like clueless kids go, like that they do that really well, and I was impressed by that.
But that does lead to, I think, I don't like the scene personally. I know a lot of people out there do. I don't like the female power up moment.
Oh, no.
It's so lame. It's so Disney going, look, we're trying.
Look, we recognize there's 2 genders in this fight.
Like,
just 2 though, because this is Disney.
Then let them fight like with the guys. It's so tokenizing.
Yeah.
It is.
It was a very tokenizing moment, and it was a weird experience in the theater because it was like,
especially when
I
you
fell
realize,
for it for a little bit in the theater. I'm like,
did
oh
too.
yeah,
and
way to
just
go.
in general,
Wait, why?
with how OP Captain Marvel is.
all of them though at that
Yeah.
point, like everyone is like, that team of women is so much stronger than the guys that we've just seen fighting, and you're just like, oh yeah, you've been fucking us for 10 years.
Yeah, it's like we had a scene with Scarlet Witch where she beat Thanos.
Yeah.
She won. She was moments away.
Yeah.
And then they had to pull a cheap trick to get rid of her. Like
same with Captain Marvel. He had to pull a stone out and smash her with it.
Exactly. Like, yeah. So we just saw 2 women almost beat him. How are they going to get through all those people? They're going to walk. Or they're going to take Valkyrie's fucking flying horse. How are they going to get through him easily?
Since when did she have that flying horse anyways?
Whatever.
And the walk
looked cool.
And the walk was very much the pose of just a tokenizing pose. Because especially when the Wasp shows up and she's like, oh, I'm here too for the women moment, right?
Yeah.
No, the funniest one
Don't
to
even
me.
get me started about how much they fucked. Oh, I hate Ant-Man, and Wasp is better, and I will never be over it.
That's fine.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, I really can.
I like Ant-Man.
I
think
also
Wasp
think
is
it's
better,
funny
though.
in that moment where I really like Mantis. She's a cool character, but she's an empath.
Yeah.
What the frick is she going to
She's
do?
not exactly a battle character.
Sleep.
What the hell?
Although, if she had jumped on one of those giant flying slug things and been like, sleep, I would have been all over this movie 10 times more.
Oh, why didn't they do that?
I don't know.
That would have been amazing. She put a whole planet to sleep. She could put one of those big worm things to sleep.
Forget the Captain America ending. I'll just drop it. Have her put those creatures to sleep.
I'm not going to drop the Captain America ending, but I agree with you.
You sleep.
Yeah, oh, finger gunning it. Pew, pew. You sleep.
It's just Valkyrie like dropping her on people and let them to sleep.
That would have been amazing.
See, that's better than what they gave us, which was a tokenizing moment of women.
If we had seen like from the first Avengers movie, one of the things crash and land, like just kind of like how it did up to the Hulk the last time, and she just hops off, like, what did you just do? I put him to sleep. It would have been amazing.
He's having good dreams. Because she could totally play a moment like that.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
that's the great thing about Mantis.
She's so good. She could have sold it.
But yeah, if anything, that scene does really tell us all. Just signals right to
They're
it.
just side characters.
They're just side characters. And here, we gave you a crumb. You like it?
Yeah.
No.
Here's your cookie.
Yeah,
I
here's
want a phase
It's even
4.
shaped like a slice of cake. You're standing in a triangle.
Oh, man. Perhaps less of a terrible moment than that.
I say, yeah, let's get out of the terrible part of because the rest of the scene is great.
I have one
very problematic.
very nitpicky gripe, and it's when the reveal of Captain America being able to use the hammer.
Please continue with your gripe before I throw this table at you.
And
Yeah, I was gonna say,
but then
I'm getting ready. Here, we'll hear
then Thor goes, "I knew it," as if
He
didn't know. Like
What?
it's a weird callback inconsistency where they're playing in the one with the robots, the bunch of robots.
Ultron.
He's like
did
Captain
know, 'cause
Captain America
Thor-
can almost lift it up.
Yeah, and Thor was Thor was uncomfortable with it, but he's known the whole time.
But he's known that Captain America is pretty much worthy to lift that hammer.
Yeah.
So then when that scene happens, he's like, I knew it. It was very much here's the directors and the audience. Like, this is the audience moment to be. The audience is speaking through Thor. He's not Thor in that moment. He's just us in response to it. Like, I knew it.
But Thor is
I
also
disagree.
always a giddy little kid. Like,
Yeah. But for me, that's just a nitpicky gripe.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. It's just, it took me out for the briefest of seconds before the rest of it put me back in.
I think I was too busy cheering to care.
I do wish he had actually yelled Avengers Assembled instead of almost kind of whispered it.
Avengers! Assemble!
Yeah.
It's one of those moments where it's like, yes, we finally heard him say Avengers Assemble, and it didn't really make any sense, and he only kind of said it to himself. But I guess we'll take what we can get.
Yeah, but there's a
Yeah.
lot of we'll take what we, because at the end we don't really get another thing.
But this would have been exactly what you said. It's the perfect moment for Avengers.
And it's the last.
Assemble and run.
It's the last time we're gonna get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is a once in a lifetime thing.
And they
Yeah.
went for the subdued.
Because my thing is, and there's no way to know this obviously, when they're making Ultron and Joss Whedon refused to let Chris Evans finish the word assemble. He only let him say Avengers, and they cut. It's like, well, if you had known this is what we're gonna get for Avengers Assemble, you should have let him do it then, because the moment would have been better.
Mhm.
Well, Josh didn't know he was going to get fired
He didn't get fired. He
or
quit.
let go or
Yeah.
whatever it was.
He was done.
He left.
He had to go fuck up Justice League. Sorry, I'll stop bringing up DC. But okay, so the rest of that moment, who had the best one? It's probably, if it
It
wasn't,
was, for me, the best moment was just Thor still being fat when he like puts on his uniform, and then when the portals open. I mean, that was
The portal-
chilling.
I think it's
Like,
it's got to be the Falcon on your left.
yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
And I'm like, so you're just watching this happen first and waiting for the good moment to say on your left? Dude, just get there.
That's total Falcon shit, though.
That's
He's
that's
such
comic
a
book.
goober.
That's comic book 101. Like, you go back to like the Dark Knight. Like, how long was Batman in that room waiting for the Joker to
Oh, I
say
know.
something for like, "You're gonna love me"? Like, 3 hours. 3 hours. He's just talking for like forever, and Batman's just creeping behind everyone. Like, shh, I'm waiting for a good moment.
I really have to take a piss.
Oh, Batman's here. Shh, 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 shh.
How is
I'm gonna catch him off guard.
how is this not really big cloak just making a lot of noise around? But
Something I noticed,
Technology.
or something I came to appreciate about that moment where everyone shows up is the soundtrack. I think, as far as Gooseflesh and like being just like, so like, oh god, it's happening. They're here. They're assembling.
Yeah.
That weird youthful comic book glee that as you read the panels translated perfectly as the moment, like the music swelled. I think the soundtrack has a lot of props to give to them for that.
I really enjoy the Marvel theme. Like, just that
Mhm.
normal theme. And when it swells, it's great. Like, they did a really good job with it. But for me, I was already on cloud 9. Like, when everybody showed up, I was already up.
Yeah.
Like, I was as high as I could be from the moment Captain America picked up the hammer. Like, I read Fear Itself, like, back, I think that was the last time it happened. And when he did it in that, I'm like, this book is great, even though the book is fucking horrible. Don't read Fear Itself. It's terrible. But having Thundercap is great. And then the second he did it, and even with the I knew it, I was in it. I was in it 100% the whole way through. And then all of his fight with it. His whole fight of
his
just
throwing that,
throwing
and
the
then
shield and then hitting it with a hammer back at him. Like, all of it
With
is
the sound
so
blast.
well done. It's just like, Jesus. Like, I've only seen the movie twice. Since I've bought it, I've watched that sequence once a day because it's so good.
It is.
And it brings me joy every time. Like, every time. Like, for me, it's the best they've done with like just comic book action since the airport scene in Civil War.
That's the thing, though, because it is just pure joy.
Yeah.
Like, the no holds barred. Even the parts that we're nitpicking, it like adds up to such a wonderful whole.
Mhm.
Yeah. What else haven't we hit in that sequence? There's so much in that whole thing.
I am still annoyed that Groot doesn't have a moment.
I agree with that. I wish Captain
There's-
Marvel had shown up earlier. Like, if she's going to be the next like leader of the team, like if that's what they want for her, she should have shown up more
Yeah.
than just
I just don't. It just shows more that the guys directing this movie, I always Russo brothers.
Russo brothers. Yeah,
But they didn't know what she was going to be. They didn't know how to treat her.
and that's true. I mean,
I still think Marvel doesn't know what she is or how to treat her.
So,
yeah, and that
Uh,
that personally that extends to the comic books as well because she's still
Yeah.
kind of a mess. At least since DeConnick stopped writing her. DeConnick got it. She got it.
well, that's
Full.
yeah. That's why she even got a.
They've
guest
had
spot
a
in the
wonderful.
movie.
Yeah.
They've had a wonderful template since Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the
Yeah.
cartoon,
Uh-huh.
and they've just chosen to disregard it because it's centered around friendship.
Yeah.
Like, she can't just be a lone wolf hero, which is all these dudes know.
Yeah.
And that's what's so frustrating is like for Captain Marvel to work as a female superhero, it's because she like values her friends, that even though she's way OP, she still has like this.
Yeah.
It's her fatal flaw. Like she's a friend.
And that's what,
you
like,
know?
in the comics when she teamed up with Guardians for such a long time, like, that's why that was so much fun to read, because she mixed with them very well. Like, the way they write
That makes sense.
it worked. And, like, this movie still has a few moments with her that I think are really great. Like, I love her meeting Peter Parker. Like,
Hi,
just
Peter.
the, hi, I'm Peter Parker. Hi, Peter Parker. Do you have something for me? Like,
Yeah,
it's like,
her delivery of that line was just chef's kiss.
yeah. It's just like, he's such a child in that
Yeah.
moment, and it's just wonderful.
But to the point of like her arriving so late, even though she did, it was still part of that sense of glee when she did show up, because it's like, who hasn't shown up yet? Why are the
Yeah.
bad guys freaking out? Why are they freaking out? What's going on?
Oh, that does.
I fall for those moments where it's like, here she comes, and she just tears everything
well,
apart.
yeah, especially I don't want to take Chewie's point. I think I know where she's going.
I just have a little bit of an issue with, unless we're going with the whole it's a wide, wide universe and not everyone can know each other idea of, why does Thanos know her or doesn't know her? Like, you'd think he would be aware of her if she is so amazing and flying around
Especially
interstellar
since
stuff.
his Lieutenant Ronan was very aware of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he does, like, maybe that's why he doesn't have a quib for her, because he's not going to bother with having a quib. He's just too busy trying to fight
He was
her.
really hoping
I don't
he'd
really
snapped
know.
her.
Yeah, the whole time he's like, I'm sure she's gone.
Because I just feel
She has to be gone, right?
Half
she's
of the
not.
pop-
I'm gonna lose this fight.
Half of the population and Captain Marvel.
So yeah, I just feel like there should have been a moment either with her beforehand or him or something about like how they knew of each other, because it really felt like they should have.
I don't disagree with you. It doesn't really bother me too much because the end is
it's a
just pure
nitpick.
victory
And
lap.
again,
But
yeah.
yeah.
I think it speaks to, it's more a flaw in like having Captain Marvel's story start in the 90s and
Yeah.
not post Infinity War, because like, how'd she let Ego spread his seed? Like, she would have
Yeah.
been aware.
Yeah,
But, you
there's a
know,
lot of those.
Whatever. That's just
Yeah.
that's beyond this movie, and like her inclusion in this movie was like pretty cool.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's
and
that's where
it's-
the experiment tends to break apart for something so ambitious as this. Eventually, you're going to get,
There's
especially
holes.
Yeah, there's no way there
Yeah.
wasn't going to be.
And you
Yeah.
just accept it, you
Yeah.
know.
It's the same as comics. There's holes in that
Oh,
too. So it
One
works.
thing I did like in the final battle is I always loved the dynamic between Stephen Strange and Tony Stark, and
Yeah.
how Strange was just like, I had your back. You
Yeah.
know, he just like lets them do their thing. I love Doctor Strange so much.
His moment at the end of the movie, I think, or the end of that fight, I thought was the best. Like when it looked like Tony was about to go do something, and he's like, "Fucking wait." He's like, "We are at the finish line. Do not act too soon."
Oh, that's
And,
not what I thought. I always took it as like there's one option.
Oh,
That's
no,
what I always took it as.
I always took it as, "Hold your horses.
Oh.
We're here. You have to do this right."
Like, remember, there's only one.
Yeah, there's one thing.
I think it's both of those things,
Yeah.
because Steven is amazing and can communicate all things,
Yeah.
for he harnesses all time.
While he's
Oh.
being
And was
Moses.
mentored by my Lord and Savior.
yeah,
Joel
while he's
Osteen.
being Moses.
I love him. I know, it's insane. I love it. I love that Benedict Cumberbatch sells it. He's great. He's
And
great.
As much as I am excited for the next movie, I am so curious as to what the hell they're gonna do. I
When
kind of
they
wish they'd
s-
brought in a different director.
When
I
they
don't
said
think
they were
he
going to
was
make it kind of
bad,
a
but
horror movie, I'm like, yes.
kind of a
I-
horror movie and supposed to be just nuts, and I'm not sure if that guy can. do it, but-
I love Scott Derrickson.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't like his horror films. I
Right,
did
that's
not
what-
enjoy Sinister, but I thought what he did was strange, and I like him. Every interview I've read with him, I'm just like, it gets you. Like, he's
Okay,
got
yeah,
that
'cause
weird,
I don't know much about him. I just don't
he's
like his
got
horror
that
movies.
weird religious, like, existential background where
okay.
it's like, I love
I
that
could
each
see
of
that's
his
good for Strange.
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
I feel like each of his movies is like working out some facet of like, my biggest problem with religion has always been this concept of eternity and shit, and I felt like Strange was so satisfying
Yeah,
in how he handled that, but like that's not what we're talking about. But anyway,
no,
I love Doctor Strange is my point.
I love Doctor Strange too, so I'm excited for that thing. And
He is the most attractive Avenger.
Whoa.
No,
Interesting.
Whoa.
I think so.
Whoa.
I mean, not Jeremy Renner's ass.
Okay.
no. Where have you like Thor?
That's
Thor.
too much for me. I really love Thor. He's a very great
Like,
beefcake. Everything.
Even-
but I've
even
never gone
fat,
for blondes.
I would wreck that.
That's just my thing, I think.
Like,
I've never been one for a blonde. However much I can appreciate a blonde, I'll still go with the brunette. And then he's got those great gray stripes in it. Love it.
my biggest problem with Doctor Strange's looks is that my cat, her facial prints are the same as his goatee, so I'm just like, keekers.
I mean, the most attractive Avenger is Rocket Raccoon. We all know
Oh.
this. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
I did love his line in this movie.
He'll give you an arm and a leg.
You're only a super scientist on Earth.
None of the other Avengers could get fat and still be so sexy, though.
I can't just, well, since you threw in the word sexy, my rocket argument kind of falls apart, but whatever.
Fat raccoons are so cute.
Who's a little chubby raccoon?
No, just replay the whole scene at New Asgard with Rocket Raccoon instead.
I mean, I guess if Groot got fat, he'd be like a mighty redwood,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is like, you know.
Yeah. If trees were sexy, the redwoods.
Man, the druids who are listening to this podcast are just really kicking it. Like, yeah, definitely Groot.
But then Scarlet Witch is going to come in with her cleavage and we'll be like, okay.
I mean, fuck, everyone's gorgeous. Like, they didn't hire ugly people.
No,
to play
they
these
didn't
roles, let's be
hire
honest.
any people.
Like how underneath Nebula is Karen Gillan. It's
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
okay.
We could talk about the most attractive Avenger all day long.
And I mean,
but
at the end of the day, it's always like Tilda Swinton. I know she wasn't really an Avenger, but like
Yeah,
the
she didn't
ancient
show up
one
at
is
the
like
end.
she helped them though. She
That's
gave
true.
Banner his pep talk. And,
Yeah.
I was so excited.
It
when
was
she
cool to have
showed
them
up.
meet. Like, that was.
I did love how many of the old, like the ancillary characters, they managed to work
Yeah.
into this. It
Yeah.
felt like a very cohesive universe.
All right,
Yep.
but we should really move on.
Sorry, yeah,
Yes,
we need
we
to
should.
wrap this up.
So we're going to do quotes first, and then we're going to do our not review system, which is going to be, I'll tell you when we get there. I can go first for quotes because mine is not really even words, but it's more of a scene, and it's the noises he makes. So when they time travel back to the first Avengers movie, we talked about this earlier, and Hulk sees the younger version of himself running around smashing. They go, well, to blend in, you might want to smash some stuff along your way. And he just looks so annoyed. It's like, fine. And it's just the, and it taps on a car and throws a motorcycle. It's just like, his performance is so good of just the apathetic destroyer. Brings me joy.
I'm
Mine,
trying to find
Can I
what I
go?
texted you.
Yeah.
mine is also one we've already talked about, but I just so moving when Thor gets his hammer and says, "I'm still worthy," and the look on his face.
So good.
Mine's a little bit less heartfelt. It's when they go back to New York and they're just wrapped up the fight and they're going down the elevator and the Hulk is like coming with and he's like, no, you gotta take the stairs. And then the door says, don't take the stairs.
It's the best line of that sequence, not to steal yours, but was when he's going down the stairs and so many stairs. Ah! It's so good.
The whole moment just was delightful. As a Hulk fan, just it really gave to me everything I needed.
Especially the end, he comes barreling through the wall. No more stairs.
They totally did the Back to the Future thing with that. It was great.
All right, last but not least.
Actually, I forgot who said this. I think it was the Hulk. Well, my favorite line at the time when we were watching this was,
Oh, it's the Hulk.
"We're talking about time travel here. It's either all a joke or none of it is." Which is also a really good way to wrap up the Marvel movies.
That's true. Oh my god, just the follow up to that line too. We're talking about time travel here. Either that's all the joke or none of it is. We're good to go. Ruffalo's so good in this movie.
Yeah.
All right, so instead of a review system this week, because I think we all agree this movie is as good as it possibly could have been, which is pretty great. Also ferociously okay. Anyhow, the question of the day is, what do you want from a Phase 4 in Marvel? You personally. Not anything they've announced. If they've announced it, it happens to line up with what you want, great. But if not, what do you want?
I think it lines up with the same response I had after the Captain Marvel episode. Again, I want Marvel movies with women that have their own agency that isn't wrapped up in the needs of a man.
I totally agree with you. My
I
pick.
know that's hard.
It's real tough. Mine would be, what I really want is like, I like the idea that they're trying to go for more obscure characters like the Eternals and some of the other ones they've announced. Like they're cool things, but there's characters that we all know and we all love, and they could be done well. And I'm not talking like X-Men or like Fantastic Four, but like we could do, like you could go and do something weird with Howard the Duck. Like you could do a Howard the Duck movie that's still Marvel in this universe, and it's still a comic book movie, but isn't about superheroes fighting a bad guy. Like, this universe is there, and there's characters who aren't necessarily superheroes, and I'd like to see one of those movies. Like, I want to see something just like, all right, we've proven that we can make $1 billion with pretty much any franchise. Let's do something totally different in the Marvel world, in the Marvel universe, but 100% against the grain.
If they did a movie about all of the things that the Collector collected getting out of their enclosures, I'd watch that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Because, I mean, wasn't Howard the Duck there?
Yeah,
I know
he was.
he had Astro the dog,
Yep.
right? He had him and a bunch of other stuff that we
Yeah.
saw in the background. So,
But that's the thing. Is like I'd watch an entire movie about that. Like I'd watch a Howard the Duck movie. I already have. It's terrible,
Yeah.
but I'd watch another one.
but
like,
Howard the
that's-
Duck and Astro going through space together, having adventures.
But like they even had that pitch for the show of like the cleanup crew after the Avengers are done fighting somebody. Like who cleans up after the Avengers? I want something like that. Like I like the idea of their animated series What If. That sounds really cool, especially since all the original actors are agreeing to voice their characters. That's awesome. But it still does more superheroes fighting more villains. Like just
Right.
you have a world, do something else with it. That's what I want. I'll never get it, but that's what I want.
Glenn Close running a military planet.
Awesome.
I'd watch.
I think it would be cool to have a cross-country road trip movie with the fused Bruce Banner Hulk and why am I drawing a blank on her name all of a sudden? We've been talking Nebula. Having them just go on a road trip across Americana and just being themselves.
I'd be into that.
Yeah.
Nebula eating food.
What is this thing? This scrambled output of chicken.
Yeah.
Scrambled output of chicken.
It's the worst phrasing.
Oh, you should open a restaurant.
No, you shouldn't. Well, you can. Just please don't. Sam, what about you?
I'd like to see a Taika Waititi directed What We Do in the Shadows style story about the new Asgardians.
That would be amazing. I'd be so in.
We got we got a parking spot for Valkyrie's horse there. He poops all the time.
Maybe
Flying horses poop way more than normal horses.
and then maybe she'll go to
Skellig has to clean
the
it up.
island in Jurassic Park, and that's where she gets her Pegasus born again.
Oh, there you go. All
And
right.
that Pegasus humps everything. My God.
Well, look, it didn't come out quite right. You know, she just had a scrap of DNA left on her belt somewhere.
All right. So
You hear that, Marvel?
that's what we want. What we do in the shadows style comedy about New Asgard. A
Where
movie that's-
Fenrir, not swear Fenrir.
A
Fenris,
movie,
Fenris, sorry.
a comic book movie that has nothing to do with heroes or villains, a road trip movie, and a movie that finally understands that women are people.
I mean, they know that they're people. They just think that all their needs and wants have to do with a man's needs and wants.
Fucking Marvel. Ah, boy. I don't think any of us are going to get what we want. We might. I think Chewie has the best chance. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Maybe phase 8.
I said hopefully.
Phase 8? I mean, with
Out
the-
of everyone, she has the best chance. But we'll see. So that's
All
everything
right.
for today. Let's do some plugs and get out of this thing. It's a long episode, but we knew it would be. It's about Endgame. Listen to Venture Bros podcast every Monday. Listen to us on Thursdays. Be sure to check out our website for other articles. And be sure to listen to Damage Boost on Fridays. The other shows, we have the people here. They can introduce themselves.
Every Tuesday, be sure to check out Samwise, in which I, Sam, use the wisdom of the Lord of the Rings to answer people's life questions. Anything ranging from relationships to work-related problems, real-life questions answered by your favorite fantasy people. It's awesome.
John?
And then on Wednesdays, listen to Demon Days, an actual play podcast with a focus on fiends and the friends who play them.
All right. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening to possibly our final Marvel show. Possibly. Who knows? Maybe when I rewatch Far From Home, like, nope, I got to talk about this one. But like I said, the plan, this is the end game. And that's okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Tink.
Avengers
Tink.
Assemble.
Tink.
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 I don't know what I mean. Tink.
See you later, bozos.